get this meeting started, you guys. Let's call this meeting to order with pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call, Tom Bass,
Yes.
Alan Donaldson,
Yes.
Andrew Clemens is absent, Cindy Clemens,
Yes.
Candy White.
Yes.
All right, approval of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approval of consent agenda, September minutes, emergency and regular meeting, and claims paid.
Oh, man. Let's see.
I didn't look at it.
Well, they were done by Colleen and, Christie. So,
I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda. I'll second that.
okay, roll call, Tom Bass,
Yes.
Alan Donaldson,
Yes.
Andrew Clemens absent, Cindy Clemens.
I haven't had time to see it all. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All righty. Reports. Mayor report. Mayor reports, she's burnt out. The only thing I have on my end is that I received a phone call from a citizen, and needless to say, I got my ass chewed. And I would, as I told her, or I'm telling all you guys, anybody who wants to call me, please tell them, come to a council meeting, because they can address the council instead of calling me. I think it was completely out of line. City council wasn't asking a lot other than that they follow the ordinance. And I don't care. Anyway, I think that's all I have right now, is the FEMA stuff still going strong?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But on that, back on that resident, I had one call me today. And I said, well, call City Hall or go down to City Hall. And she came down and looked on the door, and the door says, City Hall's closed until December 1st. If you need to talk to somebody, contact the mayor or a council person.
okay,
So if we don't want them to call the mayor or a council person, we need to change the sign on the door.
okay. Well, I guess in this situation, that's fine, but this was a situation where it was due to, you know, our codes, and she knew that. So I just think it's more appropriate for them to address the council and talk to them than to call me and chew my butt. I mean,
Get on the agenda.
Yeah. so, but was that resolved with that person today?
No,
Okay,
so I don't, she said she called and left a message on
Okay.
the thing.
okay, all right,
Because she wanted the mayor's phone number, and I gave her the mayor's phone number that's listed at City Hall.
yeah,
And she said she just left a message.
okay. I'll check my phone when I get home.
No, on this
Oh,
phone.
and this phone, she left it open?
Yeah, I didn't give her your phone.
Oh, okay, well, it's in the book.
Yeah, that's how I found it.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's on that.
okay,
And then I don't know where we're at on FEMA. Because I wasn't at the last phone call meeting,
yeah,
and
okay,
I did do some of the things they asked for that Alan might can speak more on it than I can, he was there.
no, it's not.
John's getting us some stuff, we're waiting on some stuff from Thomas from Hardin County Management.
Okay. All right. Clerk's report, everything's in here, you guys can just go through them, and Colleen gets worn out pretty fast, which is typical with this stuff. So moving on, discuss an action, water meter replacement. Rhonda, you're up.
Hi there. Have you all got copies of this stuff in front of you? There should be two different quotes, one from Municipal Supply and one from the Van Wert Company.
We don't have the one supply one, I don't think. We got Van Wert.
Okay, it was on the computer today.
Oh, and she went home sick.
You got the Van Wert one?
The what?
You got Van Wert? They'll have them in a minute.
One from Municipal. I know I included that also to Steph and Alan and his mom, I think, were the ones that got copies of it. So it should have on your home email as well.
Oh, I'll look to see if I,
Chance to look at it that way. Okay?
I'll look to see if I have it here.
Hopefully.
Sure, I got 3 of them, I think.
Yeah.
Van
Oh,
Wert
I
is
got 3 of them on the wall. Did you find yours?
Yeah, I don't think I have that, but I did get the email, Rhonda,
Okay.
but I don't have it with me.
They'll have it in a second.
The thing that when I went through and tried to do comparisons and do apples to apples all the way through, these were the two that responded, and the one that we already have is the one from Municipal Supply. That's the census meters that we have. And this would be, for this quote, it would be an upgrade to our existing ones. We wouldn't have to replace our water meters. They're new enough, so to speak, they're less than 25 years old. They're new enough that they will be able to attach the radio reads on the exterior of the properties, basically where the touchpads are at, without having to go in any homes to do it. And once that's attached, then the software is the upgrade that comes along with it and the support that is there. And it also will use a little tablet in order to do the reads as you drive around town. And that's included in this package as well. That's the reading equipment. That says the 1550, and there's some of that, the software, everything that goes along with that. So when I look at all of that, that comes up to the 29,000. Then they go over to the Van Wert ones, and those guys really went out of their way to try and make doable for it. And then the package of the three is one that
I got
be
3 pages.
comparable.
We've got these, Alan.
38,550. That's the one that's comparable to what we would match up with the census. And it's similar, but there may have to be some internal access gains for some of those meters. It wouldn't be as clean as with the census. The one thing on there, the annual fee is cheaper by about half, but there's a $10,000 difference up front that kind of makes the census one look a lot better. As well, the big thing with the Van Wert one also is that they would provide us with financing. They would actually become our bank. And if we borrowed, if we set up that program, they would set that up for 36 months at 3.8% interest. So we have a monthly payment instead of all upfront type of thing. Those are the things I want you guys to think about and decide on. I really like what the guys from Van Wert put together for us when it first started. When this finally came from Census today, it's just like, well, it makes it really hard to avoid at that point. They've really done a pretty good job of cutting corners wherever they could financially, so that if we're going to do this with them, we're doing it the least expensive way possible, but we're also getting that upgrade that we really need to have. Alan, I did get an answer back from them, and they did tell me that yes, the software upgrade is compatible to QuickBooks. That should not be a problem. And Dan Ashworth, who has been there basically every step of the way that he could, working with John Colleen, has, he said that would continue on, that in-house service is part of it. And to my knowledge, we've never been charged for any of that when Dan came out. So that's one of the things that, there's something there to be said for the customer service. And don't get me wrong, I think Steve would probably do the same thing. But it's kind of almost like starting over. And that kind of scares me. Comments from you guys?
So Van Wert would require new pads on the side of the house?
It would require a different one, yes.
And this 67.9, is that the number for the Van Wert? Or is it 59.2?
67.9 is if they do a 100% all brand new program. They replace the meters, they replace, that's like the top of the line, that's the Cadillac of it, that's doing all new. But then you go to the one that's the middle package, which I would call the Chevy, and it's at $38,550, and that's the one that's comparable to the municipal one. That they would be doing very similar to the same thing. Where'd it go?
It's on the third page.
And then they have a cheaper one, but it's only, the difference there is it's not going to be doing the radio read as such. It's going to be doing a touchpad. He's still going to have to walk around and do it. It just upgrades the touchpad. So that one, that's the 13,000. I set those two out, the 67,000 and the 13,000. I set those two aside, and I did a comparison between the two of the one that is 38,550 and 29,555.
Hey, is the census annual support renewal, is that something that's negotiable?
No, because that comes from corporate, that doesn't come from municipal.
Okay,
That's probably the one thing that is the least negotiable of the whole thing.
okay.
And, you know, their equipment and everything at 1,550. The list on that right now is running right around 2,500, so he brought that way down. And then the meters themselves at $130, those are right now at about 140, so those, he brought those down. And that's figured on 200. So, you know, if we end up getting more than that, we might be able to, you know, bring them down a little bit further. But that number is locked in, so if we only use 150, we still get the $130 price. Now, I don't know if you guys want to make a decision tonight on this, or whether you want to take these two pieces of information and everybody think about them for 2 weeks until your next city council meeting.
Okay, so your municipal is saying they should have no problem converting. What happens if there is a problem?
They have to figure it out.
Okay.
And he would come out, Dan would actually come out and do a walkthrough with some of the stuff. He knows the system well enough because he has been working with it. He knows the system well enough that he's fairly confident that that's not an issue, but if there becomes an issue, he's the one who has to come out and figure it out. They're not going to leave it for us to do, and cost-wise, that I think is probably the unknown, but as long as Dan's doing it, that's part of his job for customer service, and we don't get charged.
Wasn't that be part of that support renewal? Isn't that the support?
That support is 100% upgrades on annual upgrades on the software and support from the software company.
That's what we get for $2,000.
Over at Dan Word.
Basically, we get all the upgrades are included with that support renewal.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing that we've always held back on in the past is we're never going to do anything more than this. We don't need all these renewals. The renewals makes it so we have to go do more and more and more. Well, this brings it all up to date. And then it stays with us with that annual renewal every year.
Can we cancel that renewal at any time?
I know I have in other communities. If we get to the point where
I
we
mean,
don't
if
like
we-
it, or we want to switch to another brand or whatever.
Or if
yeah.
we see that the technology is kind of leveled off and, hey, we're gonna be here about 10 years, we can see, you know,
Exactly.
technology isn't gonna advance.
Or do it every other year instead of every year, and they have them pull it all in at once instead of doing, you know, all these upgrades every year. There's ways to work around that to bring that cost down too. That particular cost, though, like I say, is coming from the software side of things. That's the one thing that municipal can't mess with.
Right, but there's a way we can make it work to our favor though, maybe.
Exactly.
Take some of the sting out of that $2,000 support.
Correct. If you break that down, that $2,000, I just did a quick math on it. That $2,000 or $2,005 a year adds up to 83 cents a month on the meters. That's the cost that goes with
So that
it.
would go into your 2% annual increase that we have. You would just figure that in.
What, Alan?
You just figure that into your 2% annual increase.
Yeah.
Instead of 2, it'd be 2.5, and you'd cover it. I think we need to read over them and think about it, Rhonda. I mean, I don't think we want to.
I have no
What?
thoughts about that tonight. Like I said, give you guys a chance to look at these numbers. When I had two different quotes to look at, I pulled out the one that's from Van Wert that is at 38,550. That's the bottom of the page there. That's the project total from them. And that compares to the municipal supply one that is $29,550. So it's, $9,000 difference, more expensive up front. But the kicker there is the annual support on the Van Wert is only, I did that once today in my head, $1,100. Yeah, $1,100. So it's right at half of what the annual support is through municipal. And they do provide the financing if we want to go that route. And like I say, that $38,000, it breaks down to, over 36 months, breaks down to a monthly payment of $1,100. But that $38,000 also does not include that annual fee. That's on top of it.
Oh, there's an annual fee on top of that 38,000?
The $38,000 is getting the project in place, and then the annual, you'll see this down there, it says,
Yep,
Itron annual fees.
yep.
That's the software package, everything that goes along with it, that matches up to the 2005 on the other side. So it's less expensive every year, but, getting there, the package is $10,000 more expensive.
Yeah.
Does Van Wertz work with the clerk books we have, or is there a whole other software program?
Theirs would work with QuickBooks also.
Okay.
So it's a matter of, and here's the thing that I see is it's going to take us, how many years of annual software is that? That's 5 years worth on the municipal to meet up to the cost of what Van Wertz is. You understand that?
Mhm.
And in 5 years, we don't know how much it's going to change again.
Yeah, if it changes a lot, that $2,000 is gonna look pretty cheap.
And exactly. That's something to keep in mind.
And I like the fact that they can work with the equipment we already have, instead of getting all new
Yeah.
and having to make arrangements with the citizens and
Yeah.
make
Right.
appointments to get in
Right.
and,
Like I said, it took me a while to get it out of him, but when he finally came across with it today, I worked with both companies. I worked with both of the sales reps and the client services guys, and don't get me, I would work with either one of them. But when you look at the dollar side of it, in reality, even though the annual support fee is more, since the municipal is, and the census stuff it's a better deal for you guys because you've already got the census meters in. And if we got to change out meters and upgrade meters, the package and everything is already still there. We don't have to mess with it.
Yeah.
So, think about that, and like I said, what I would ask is you all take a good look at it, and then put it on the agenda to make a decision at your next regular council meeting, which is gonna be I did those a little bit ago. The 8th of December, does that sound right?
yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, well, we got her on the phone, should we skip to number 3 and talk about televising the sewer?
If you are willing, absolutely. My understanding in talking with Alan earlier, this is basically make sure we do that trunk that goes to the lagoon, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Because when I looked at that, it's like, why are we televising again? That should all be done. But that trunk is the one thing that has never been done. I guess I wasn't aware that JEO was willing to step up and split the cost instead of us having to do it all. And that they would, basically, they're gonna manhandle it. They'll make all the arrangements.
That's the way I read the email.
Okay. And I don't, do you remember when that came across, guys? I don't remember seeing that one.
I'll try to pull it up.
September, wasn't it?
Oh, well, okay. That would make sense to why I haven't seen it, because even if it was there, I think I lost
but I could be wrong.
Try July.
July? Oops.
So, okay.
$7,800 split between JEO and us. 7880, so about 4,000 bucks.
Well, I don't think we have a choice, we need to have it done, so
Yes.
it needs to be done, so we can figure out what's,
And you've talked to him, Alan, that deal's still
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
just,
table.
yeah,
Have you talked directly to Luke or to Steve?
this is all Lucas.
Okay, good. And that's the one that is, if I'm looking at the right thing here that I got, that I found on my computer, is the 7880?
Yep,
Okay. So I did have it, I just did not remember that at all.
okay. Yeah,
And, let's see, let me close this, and go back to the print. And they're going to cover at least a portion of it.
it says JEO proposes to split the televising 50/50 with the city. Any repairs will be responsible by the city,
Okay?
which is what it would be anyways.
Yeah, and that's what I'm reading through and I'm gonna print. Again, like I said, I don't remember it. I apologize. I think it's something we go for right now. If we can get CIT in there, you know, that'd be the thing to, let's get them in as quick as we can, but I mean, we're gonna have to come up with some, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Something maybe I need to talk to Lucas about.
we also have a farmer that wants to get into that field and do some tiling,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's another reason we need to get him in there to get it done.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing that I see is, if we've got buried manholes, we're gonna have to dig. And when he does tile, then we wanna make sure he's not going into, over, under, or through our lines either.
Yeah,
If we can, and his tiling could be a benefit to us as well, as long as he's not dumping into it, that's the biggest problem we're gonna have. So yeah, knowing that ahead of time is really, is the biggest factor. Alan, are you gonna talk to Luke at JEO tomorrow, or do you want me to?
I can call him or whatever, doesn't matter.
Okay. If you're going to call him and say, get on it, he might move a little faster for you.
Okay,
And just say, we've decided we're gonna do this, let's get it done, and we wanna get it scheduled as quickly as possible. Don't tell us February.
okay. I'm making a good motion to go ahead with JEO's proposal to split 50/50 to televise the line going to the lagoon.
A second.
roll call, Tom Bates,
Yes.
Alan Donaldson,
Yes,
Andrew Clemmons absent, Cindy Clemmons,
Yes.
Candy Wait.
Yes.
Okay. I guess it should be,
There is a page on there, the very last page of it. Yeah, that's from JE, that's not from JEO, no, that's from CIT. So you need a clarification as who's supposed to be signing that.
okay,
I would, for you, if you approve to go ahead with that through JEO, I would pull that page tonight and have Stephanie sign it as the customer authorized signature, and then hold that page back and if you can get JEO to sign it. But we've got it signed, and you don't have to try and track Steph down or run her down or have another special meeting to get a signature on it if that becomes an issue.
okay.
And then we'll just push it, you know, get it. This is the wettest we've been in several months. Today, we had 8 tenths down here. I don't know what you guys had.
I don't know.
But, you know, even then, we're tacky. We're not, it doesn't seem like we're ready at all tonight yet, so. we'll see what it's like by morning. But yeah, if we can get them in, that's, the crops are out and they're anxious too, so let's see if we can work with them.
Okay,
Okay, guys?
Yep,
Alrighty,
thank you.
So let's short meeting, okay?
yeah,
Happy Turkey Day.
yeah,
Yep,
thanks,
thanks.
Rhonda.
Same to you.
Talk to you later.
Alright, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Codification. You got your paper, where's those papers? Alright.
And I think I've got everything flagged as we go
Okay.
through there. I went to that, put a
Sticky?
sticky thing on there. Some things I couldn't find in there, so.
Okay, does everybody have these then? Okay, so, in section 1.14, you've got highlighted, remove incarceration as a possible penalty for conviction of a simple misdemeanor on a violation of city's code. We suggest that you consult with your city attorney regarding if you should amend the wording in this section, and if so, what the edited wording should be.
The wording right now is the court may order imprisonment not to exceed 30 days in lieu of a fine in addition to a fine. They're saying check with the attorney to see if we want to remove that or change the wording. So whatever we do, we should note on it, so on a clean copy, whatever we decide we want to do. That would be my
So-
suggestion anyway.
Um,
I would just probably remove it, but. I mean, there's still a fine in place. But yeah, I don't know. Might be something to want to call a lawyer about.
So contact attorney?
I don't know.
guessing you could probably just remove it.
No, that's what I was thinking.
I'm guessing you could probably just remove it.
That would be my suggestion.
I mean, you're gonna have to write some pretty stiff stuff to,
If it's an ordinance violation, I don't know if that constitutes jail time.
Yeah,
So I guess make a note, I don't even know where my copy is of all that,
that's it right there.
but right here,
That's
yeah.
I've looked at it so many times. Are you doing that, Candy?
Doing what?
Kind of making a note by each one as we go through them,
Well, I can.
or you?
I would scribble, I can.
Oh, I was,
Are you doing it too?
Oh, are you doing it?
well, yeah, I'm
She
doing
was
some.
good,
Okay.
I think.
And then I would just go right to the next one.
Okay, so the next one, they have highlighted, are there any other changes of this one? Is the list of appointments correct? We will delete the water and sewer superintendent. We will also add property maintenance board of appeals with the council approval.
Are there any other changes to the appointments? And the appointments are listed, mayor pro tem, sewer superintendent, water superintendent with council approval, library board of trustees with council approval, and tree board with council approval. Those are the 5 appointments that we have in our ordinance book. So I guess that's just a yes or no to the, are there any other changes? Or are the appointments correct, or any changes? I guess there's 2 questions there.
I would say no changes to that. Because the list of appointments would be correct.
And that'd be fine with me too, I'm okay with that.
Okay. No change?
What are they gonna add in place of the water and superintendent, nothing?
Well, yeah, I don't know what they would put in.
Yeah,
That'd be my question.
I mean, Property Maintenance Board of Appeals. I mean, we do have a, do we
I guess
have
that's
a,
what they're putting in there, that property maintenance board of appeals. You gotta have a board or a committee for that.
Council approval.
so that would have to be added to the list of appointments?
Well, they're adding it. We will also add property board of appeals with council approval. So they're taking out water superintendent and adding that board of appeals. Since we
And
don't
if
have
that's
water.
due, then at that point, then we'll have 4 appointments, then we'll get rid of 2 and we'll add 1. Is that the way you read that?
Yep,
So that's what we need to decide probably tonight.
Okay, so that'd be no change, right?
Right.
Well, no
Well,
change to what she has got.
Yeah, no
Yes,
change
yeah,
to
yeah.
this,
Yeah, no change to how it's written
yeah,
by her.
you take a roll call vote on that.
okay, so, roll call, Tom Bass,
Yes.
Alan Donaldson,
Yes.
Andrew Clemmons is absent, Cindy Clemmons,
Yes.
Candy Wade,
Yes.
okay, so. That one is, what's the next one? The city can establish meetings by resolution or ordinance. Which way is preferred, if they prefer ordinance or the date and time listed correctly?
Well, our date and time is written correctly. The regular meeting of the council are on the second Tuesday of each month at 6:30 at City Hall. And then it goes on to explain about legal holidays, the next succeeding Tuesday, and I would suggest we just leave it as written.
But it says which way is preferred,
Ordinance.
Yeah,
ordinance?
it's written now as ordinance.
Okay. All right. Next one. Any revisions to the park commission? Does the city want to retain or omit the chapter?
I have no idea. It's chapter 22, the park commission. There is a board of park commissioners for the city consisting of 5 residents of legal age. 1 commissioner is appointed by the council annually for a term of 5 years, commencing January of each year. Within 10 days following the appointment, the board shall elect one of its members chairperson. There's rules and regulations. And any person who violates a board rule and regulations, the board has the power to make the rules and regulations for the use of parks and other facilities under its control. If we have that, I've never heard of it, so I don't know what.
I've never seen anything like that ever implemented in all these years, so.
So do we want to keep it or
Does the
omit
city
it?
want to retain or admit the chapter, I guess?
Omit the chapter.
Omit?
Okay,
It's always
so-
just been, they've always just appointed some people, just to.
On the park board, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it doesn't need to be in the ordinance. That was my
Okay, so somebody
You
needs
could
to,
add that back under, if they wanted to put a park committee under property maintenance board, you could put the park board. If you can get volunteers to take it, that's the problem, normally you can't get anybody to take it.
Right.
So that's the whole chapter 22 we're omitting, right?
23.
20.
well, not 22.
22, sorry.
Uh-huh.
My bad.
Now, 23 is the tree.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Any revisions to the tree board, does the city want to retain or admit the chapter?
They'd probably do it just above at the very end.
Well, the thing of it is, in the tree board thing, it's the, before a tree is planted within the right-of-way easement, that thing is in there. It's $500 per tree, the fee planting permits will be exclusive for the removal of trees in the city right-of-way or easement areas.
We just need to change that to where no trees are allowed to be planted.
Exactly.
It just
Yeah.
needs to be
Oh.
noted.
So that actually could,
It needs to be
if
changed.
you wanted some revisions, you could just,
I mean, we'd have to do it as an ordinance, but we'd have to vote on it at next meeting to change it. But that's what needs to be sent to them for a change, is whatever we decide.
So,
we want to retain it, but we want some revisions to it.
Retain with revisions.
I mean, but there is, there's a tree board established, there's a, 2301 is their is hereby created and established a city tree board for the city which consists of 6 members, one of which shall be a council member appointed by the mayor with the approval of the council for staggered 5-year terms. I mean, is that the kind of stuff we want to leave in there? Because I know there's no such thing that I know of as a tree board. And then they got the authority and jurisdiction, compensation, duties. And then the section about duty to trim trees, see, that would be something that needs to stay in there. But as far as the tree board established, I don't know.
Wouldn't do any good, would it?
Ultimately, it comes back to the council anyways.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
you just about admit the board and say it comes back to the council, that are changes that we want to change in there. You have to do an ordinance on it, and then you'd have to send it off to them to tell them what we want to change.
I'm just telling you what I've.
No, I think
yeah,
I don't know, but, yeah. But yeah, there's, I mean, if we're not utilizing that, is there any reason for it to be there?
no,
Could it be something that bites us in the butt?
well, there's no board, I mean, it
You
needs to be
know,
there.
I mean, if somebody wants to argue it and said, hey, where's the tree board? And I want to see a member of the tree board, you know?
now here they, like you said, it ultimately comes back to the council anyway.
Right.
It says, change planting trees on city property 33 feet from center of road and is prohibited.
Correct, that's what we measured it at,
Yeah.
as a city easement, it was 33 feet. If you can't use a sidewalk, you have to use city easement. We said 33 feet was the standard.
Yeah,
And we need to have that in there somewhere, because that 33 foot I couldn't find in there. I just know that's how the streets were laid
How
out,
they were laid out.
on 66 foot.
That was standard, that's how the easement is set on the assessment
And you and I
website.
measured a couple of them, in fact, so we know that to be true.
So we really just need to put on the agenda to redo chapter 23 next month.
well, don't we just write these down now and then we do
You
them
can.
next month? Because this,
Yeah, or at least touch base with
Do we
this
need to-
lady, telling her, hey, we do
But you're gonna have to
have
do any of those you change, you
Yeah.
have to do
yeah,
an ordinance, and a resolution, and a reading, and waive the second, third.
yeah.
You just want to redo chapter 23?
Yeah,
Got that down.
redo
Yeah.
it.
Put on the agenda for next month, got that down.
Well, I think we need to do them all.
On
Or, well,
chapter
as far as
20.
it's changing, I mean. All right, so chapter 151, sample A. Okay, the sample is our standard tree chapter. The tree board may be interested in some of the sections. Sample shows the alternate section with Code of Iowa reference if the city would like to make a revision.
Yeah, see, back there, there's some samples. If you look at the back of those things, they included some sample sheets back there. There'll be one that says 151,
Oh,
there's a sample,
okay.
chapter 151,
Yeah.
trees. So, I mean, that'd be something we could look at when we go to change and do an ordinance change. Hey, this sample A is what it is. If you look in the back, it's sample A. Goes with the tree, goes with the tree thing.
Okay. So chapter 36. Does the city have any updates to the ambulance service chapter? Verify each section correctly. States the relationship between the city and the service. Is there a 28E agreement with the service? If so, we could just add a paragraph stating there is an agreement.
I didn't know what a 28E agreement was, so.
Isn't that,
We have a 2080, don't we?
Not with
Never
the
know, it's only
ambulance.
with Hardin County, right? The only 2080 we have is with sheriff's office, isn't it?
I don't know that the ambulance has.
I know
what
we
they
have, the only one I know we have is with the sheriff's office, isn't it?
could
I think we
pay
got
on the
2080 with the
ambulance.
sheriff's office, but not the,
You know that the ambulance has always basically considered themselves as a self-supporting entity over all the years, so I
What is
don't know.
that?
I don't remember what all it states. And then, but I think the only one we have is with Hardin County.
Just a service
Sheriff's office,
agreement like
service
that?
agreement.
Yeah. I didn't know, I just put a question mark on it, so.
so,
You'd have to read that chapter, I don't even know what that chapter states. I've never had to look at it.
Well, it's, the purpose of the chapter is to establish an ambulance and emergency service and provide for the fixing by resolution of fees to be charged users of said service. The department is hereby created and should be called the Union Ambulance Service, blah, blah. It shall have the authority to equip an ambulance and rescue unit. Membership consists of volunteers. Fees shall be furnished at rates shall be from time to time fixed by the unit. Ambulance fees are due and payable upon presentation, compensation, per call basis, quarterly report, and unit shall submit financial records annually. Basically, no mention of a 28E thing in here. I don't know. It's just, you want to read over it real quick?
No, I don't think we've ever had one with the, yeah, the only one I remember is with Hardin County Sheriff's Office.
So I guess, I mean, for right now, we'll just put down that we have no 28E
Yep.
with service. If so, we could just add a paragraph stating there is an agreement, but I guess we have an agreement, it's just not a 28E, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what it is.
okay.
I'd have to ask Charlie if there's anything you want to add to it.
This chapter will be revised into chapters 40-40, or 40 to 43. Some sections will be renumbered. That was 45. What is 45?
45 is fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well,
one of them
well, they got a sample there.
is revised into chapter 40
Okay.
to 43.
Okay, the sample is the fireworks section needs to be updated. The sample shows a fireworks section that is current with the Code of Iowa. The city can use it or language or your preference. How does the city want the firework section revised?
And it's sample B in the sheets. They got alternate A allowed in certain dates or prohibited.
Ours are prohibited, aren't they?
Supposed to be.
I don't know.
I think as the city and considering everything that we have been going through down there, the houses are too close together for what these people are blowing off.
Yeah.
And they're gonna end up setting somebody's house or garage or shed on fire. And when I can't even sit in my yard and I have them coming over my house and coming down on top of us, no.
I thought they were prohibited.
I think,
They're supposed to
they,
be, but that's what these people are doing. There's
I
no,
know they're doing it anyway, but
no respect whatsoever.
no.
And you know, it might be to where you can put a fine in there to get it stopped and increase the fine with each offense.
I thought there was. I thought we redid that.
Yeah, I
I
thought,
thought we did too.
I don't know. But anyway.
There's probably a,
And you
just
can
want
put
alternate-
that.
You can put alternate version 2, it just says,
Yes.
consumer fireworks are unlawful for any person to use, explode consumer fireworks from the city limits.
Done deal. Yeah. I think that's what they're asking us, which, if we wanna go, and that that goes with the state regulations then. Either one of those are allowed by the state. The consumer one's okay through certain dates, or alternate
None.
two, simply no fireworks.
None. So, just as an example, like when we had issue with dogs repeatedly running, and they couldn't be fined unless there was something on the books. So, if you've got people shooting them off, do we have to have a fine in there for the deputies to cite them because they just drive by and let it go?
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, the fireworks thing allows them to use them if they draw some kind of a permit, the way I read this. If they come in and get a permit, in writing, grant a permit for the display of fireworks by a city agency, fair association, well, maybe for groups of individuals. So there is ways to, right now in our ordinance,
Okay,
Cause you know, the rec center sets them off. No,
Yeah,
is
Maybe
that
maybe
the
we
same
put something in
thing?
there for Tar Heel Days or something along those lines, Fourth of July.
maybe that's what that is. It says a group of individuals approved by city authority, so I guess it would still come to the council for approval. Otherwise,
but didn't that just say it's to basically do like a display, you know? Have somebody come in and actually, it's not just random ones.
grant a permit for the display of
Yeah.
fireworks.
Yeah, well,
So maybe that should stay, and, yeah, I don't know how that would have to be written.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just put discuss. Next one. Any revisions to the weeds and grass regulations? The city should compare this chapter to ordinance 150 to make sure the policy is uniform between the two chapters and stated as the city wishes.
And I couldn't find ordinance 150 anywhere. So I don't know what that says. I looked through, I think I looked through every one of these. And I just made a note here, I couldn't find 150. So, I don't know, maybe Colleen can help with that. We got 158, and we got 160s, and we got 155s.
Are any of those weeds?
Huh?
Are any of those weeds?
We got a 151. 154, but I couldn't find a 150. So, I don't know,
That's an ordinance.
yeah.
Okay. Next one is Code of Iowa 809 states fines are established by a magistrate. It is our belief the city must change an infraction under the standard penalty in section 1.14 or a municipal infraction in chapter 3. We question if the stated fines in this section are enforceable. Which one was that?
That was ordinance 160, and I have ordinance 160, and it's 5506 at large. That might be what you're talking about, Cindy. It is unlawful for any owner to allow an animal to run at large within the corporate limits of the city. Dogs must be restrained at all times on a leash not exceeding 6 foot. The fine for the first incident is $50. For the second incident will be $100. The third, $150. The fine shall increase by $50 for each additional occurrence. And they're just questioning if that's actually, if we can actually do that, I think.
They have been, the sheriff's been citing them.
And are we collecting a fine?
Well, I think the first time, I think they're giving them a warning. And I know they've been to the neighbors, and there's supposed to be any call down there anytime they're running. So I guess I don't know, you would assume the city would be getting it. But in fact, I believe it was the sheriff's office that said in order for them to cite them for dog at large, you had to have that on your books.
It does refer to the city must charge an infraction under the standard penalty in section 1.14 or a municipal infraction in chapter 3. I guess I didn't look back at those. Code of Ordinances is chapter 1.
1.14 here.
Oh, yeah, maybe I did look back at that. Oh, and that just goes back to the fine of ordinance violations and the court imprisonment thing that they were talking about. So that part of it. I
Are
don't
they
know.
enforceable? That's what they're asking.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
We got him there.
I'd send it off to Kaplan to have him review it.
And then chapter 3 is municipal infractions. Standard penalties, municipal infraction is punishable by the following set of penalties. First offense not to exceed $750, each repeat offense not to exceed 1,000. So there is things in our ordinance book.
That sounds like, the abatement thing though, with those.
Well, I think it could cover a lot of different things, maybe. I mean, it's just municipal, environmental violations, penalties, civil citations, alternative relief, criminal penalties. But yeah, it might be a question for the lawyers. Somebody smarter than me.
okay, and then number 12. The sample shows disposition of animals with Code of Iowa reference. Does the city wish to revise their current language?
Well, that would be another sample back in here in your samples. Well, it seemed like there was something to do to with having a place to impound them or something. But we don't have a dog catcher.
No.
So again, I don't know.
I don't even know why we have that.
The dog thing,
The 55.14. We don't impound them,
Yeah,
we don't do any of that.
you just take them to their, call their owners.
Yeah,
There's, you know, if a dog bites somebody, then they're supposed
Yeah.
to take care of it.
so that's the right to kill a tag dog. 55.14, it shall be lawful for any person to kill a dog wearing a collar with a
Oh, their
rabies
problem.
vaccinations when the dog is caught in the act of worrying, chasing, maiming, or killing any domestic animal or fowl, and when such dog is attacking or attempting to bite a person. And one is, the right and duty to kill an untagged dog is 55.13 and 55.14.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Does the city wish to revive their current language? And that was our current language that I just read.
Well, you're gonna go with alternate one since you don't impound anything. It just says the owner of a dog or other animal shall be issued a summons to appear before proper court, answer charges for such as dog or animal at large. That's alternate 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, alternate one would be, that would probably have to take care of existing 13 and 14. Yeah. Because everything else in the
And 15 says
samples,
there's no impounding charges, so 15 too, right?
right,
Right.
right, well, we don't have an impound cost. Our 2015 is pet awards prohibited, that's a thing for, you can't give dogs away as a door prize kind of a thing. I think that's what that is, but I think you're right, Alan, that's just, that would do away with 12 and, or 13 and 14 and 15 actually, yeah. Well, we have a 15, but it has nothing to do with the cost. So however.
And we don't impound them.
Right. So their sample 15 would.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, so which ones do we want to take out?
We just want alternate one, I think.
And scratch the others.
Okay. In the course of updating the code, some traffic sections may be renumbered. It is important the police department is aware of this.
Which one are we on?
13, it just says that it's important that the police department is aware of this. Some traffic sections. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The
So
city
when you
can
get
Well,
establish-
is it a resolution or ordinances? I got a
Okay.
note. And I'm gonna guess it's an ordinance.
Okay. If we switch to resolution, the sign locations will be omitted from these sections and others. Which adoption methods does the city prefer? If the city chooses to adopt the regulations by ordinance, then all city-specific information, signs, streets, parking locations need to be verified.
Yeah, because I don't think we're probably completely up to date with all that. If we switch to resolution. Well, maybe we need to switch to resolution, then the sign locations will be omitted from these sections.
Let's say.
What does the regular one say? It's got intersection with the following designated through streets. We have Iowa number 215 from the north corporate line to the Center Street. Main Street from Center Street to the south corporate line. And County Road D65 from the west corporate line to the east corporate line. Those are the only ones. Special stops required is Fifth Street. Vehicles traveling on Fifth Street shall stop at Commercial Street. Those are the ones that are listed.
Will they update that when your dad came to town?
I think when the first covered wagon came through, they had to stop at the cattle crossing. But if we went with
you
If
just
we
go
went with the
and pull them out,
resolution,
then the city can put it wherever they want.
we don't have to have them in here. I don't know what that takes or how you do that though. I mean,
What's the,
'02 was
yeah,
the
that was
special.
the Fifth Street special.
Yeah, '01 was the 215, the Main Street from Center and County Road D65 from the west. And then 6502 was Fifth Street.
Now there's a four-way stop up there.
Yeah, that's where the school
And
is.
that's where the school is, yeah. Which that makes sense. But does that mean we have to list every
That's what I asked
sign
you, you'd have to list every stop.
if we went with the ordinance?
Yeah,
If we just go with the resolution, we can leave this alone
You'll take it out. 'cause
or
doesn't
take it
matter.
out.
Sign locations won't matter.
Right, then sign locations don't matter. So I would guess that we need to see how we go with resolution instead of ordinance.
so just put resolution on that one,
I think, yeah.
okay. Does the city have truck route regulations? Is there a truck route through town?
We,
Are there any roads that have load limits?
yeah,
Well,
I
because
think
of the bridges,
Yeah.
yes.
Bridges.
we got load and weight restrictions. I don't know. if it-
Davis Street.
I don't know that it lists,
Commercial Street.
it doesn't list per se each street.
You have First Street,
Chapter 66, it's got
Perry
temporary
Street.
embargoes, permits.
Third Street,
You writing these all down?
And it just says, when signs are erected giving notice thereof, no
Commercial.
person shall operate any vehicle with a gross
Davis.
weight in excess
Commercial,
of the
First
amount
Street.
specified.
I think that should be on
So,
it.
yeah.
Basically, it's saying obey whatever we put on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, the
Yeah.
sign up there, you're good, yeah.
And then determined by any city bridge, kind of the same thing, to warn drivers of such maximum load limits and no person shall drive. So we don't really have truck routes, that I know of, but there is load limits. So I would say, yeah, that's probably as good as written.
Okay, verify the angle parking list. There isn't any, is it?
Well, the only place I know where there's, well, what we have in chapter 6, now angle parking is permitted only in the following locations, and we have two. Main Street on the west side from Center Street to Commercial, which is now parallel, that's in front of the phone company and the church. So that one needs to go away.
Okay,
And then the other one is Commercial Street on the south side from Third to Main, and I think that's in front of the library, right?
What about the church over here?
That one's not even listed, but yeah, that would be the other place.
That's Third Street, yeah.
Well, and then Commercial Street, that's what I'm on.
In front of the
south
library.
That's the
side.
library.
The library.
You can angle park about 4 people there, I think.
And then, but in front of the community church, we don't have, it's not on here, and I don't know how important that is.
I just put on here library and church.
Yeah, and then do away with
Teacher.
Community,
Yeah,
number 1 there, the Main Street from Center to Commercial. We can do that, and we can put that one in instead.
Are the impound fees correct? Does the city impound vehicles?
No, and that's why,
We can though, right?
Where are you gonna take them?
Dave will get them,
Hoagland takes them.
or Hoagland,
You call them and they'll come
Yeah.
out.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's right.
let's see what we, oh. Well, here's what we got for impound. Shall pay $3 if claimed within 5 days of impounding, plus $1 for each additional day within claiming the period if stored by the city. Towing the storage fees if stored in a public garage. The amount of towing charges and the rate of storage charges by privately owned garages shall be established by such facility.
We just need to add that in and delete the rest.
We need to delete
The
the
top portion of it.
$1 and $3.
Well, just whatever rate is established by the private towing company is what needs to be.
That's what we need to.
Because we're not gonna do it, it's going to,
We're not involved at all.
Are we deleting?
Yeah, towing and storage fee, no, this is what we're keeping,
Oh, okay.
the amount of towing charges and rates. And then this is deleted, right? That top paragraph. Delete.
Are the fees correct?
Well, the fees, that's what we're deleting, I guess.
This ordinance 161, has the city made revisions to this chapter since ordinance 161? So 90.12.
It's,
So is that 90.06, is that in reference to the impound part of that, or is that
Yeah.
something different?
no, that's the impound. Oh, wait a minute, no, 90.06.
That's
Oh, I
all
thought that was
Water,
part of the-
this is part of 161, I think. 90.06, we wanna do that one first.
Yeah, I thought that went with the,
Okay, here's what 9106 or 9006. Before any permit is issued, the person who makes the application shall pay $10 to the clerk to cover the cost of issuing the permit and supervising, regulating, and inspection of the work. In addition, there will be a connection charge in the amount of $65 paid before the issuance of a permit to reimburse the city for costs borne by the city in making water service available to the property served.
okay, we don't charge for building permits anymore.
But you do have to put a deposit down
For water.
for
Yeah, for
water.
That's
water.
in a different section.
Oh, that's different than this.
Yeah,
That's talking about connecting.
This is a fee for permit and connection charge.
Which we don't make the connection anymore, so the citizen is bearing the connection. They were charging them when they built new houses, is what they were charging for. And since they're making the connection, I don't see how you can charge them for it when they're paying the contractor to do it.
And any inspection and permit and is that covered someplace else? Once they hook up their water meter, aren't we supposed to
That's
go
not the
in?
meter though, that's tapping the main,
Oh, tapping them.
the way I see it.
Connection charge, yeah. There's no, it doesn't say anything about a meter.
That's got.
So actually, that whole thing could probably go away.
Because we're no longer, I mean, they used to tap the main and run it to the curb, curb stop. That's what that's talking about, it costs $65 to have that made. And but since you're responsible as the homeowner,
To take it all the way to your
to
house.
go over your house.
So it needs to be taken out.
So 90.06
Completely removed.
can be removed, I guess.
Okay. Go on to the next one.
Okay.
Has the city made revisions to this chapter since ordinance 161?
We just did,
Did we add emergency repair clause?
well, we did this in February of 20. Was the latest one we had. And, you know, I know we had talked about having to redo that. 161 is last written. All costs and expenses incident to the installation, connection, maintenance of water service main shall be served by, borne by the owner. This shall include the tap and curb. Loss of damage, direct installation, maintenance, etc. The owner will have 7 days to repair water leak after notification from the city. After the 7th business day, the City of Union will hire a contractor of their choice to repair the water leak, and the expense will be borne by the owner. Water will be turned off until the bill is paid. So, it doesn't say anything as an emergency,
That's what we were gonna rewrite.
and that's what we were gonna rewrite. But 7 days, I mean, we moved it up from what it was to, hey, we'll give them 7 days, but then the emergency thing came up. So, we probably should say, yeah, we do have, like I say, we just did this in February this year. And then the emergency thing came up, and we probably do need to put that in there. So we need another revision to that ordinance.
For emergency repair?
Yeah, I think.
Alright. 20. Creates an unnecessary bar for the city to meet when working with citizens. Could be a policy but not an ordinance. Below is our standard language for this section. So meter repairs.
Okay.
Whenever a water meter owned by the city is found to be out of order, the superintendent shall have it repaired. If it is found that damage to the meter has occurred due to the carelessness or negligence of the consumer or property owner, or the meter is not owned by the city, then the property owner shall be liable for the cost of repairs.
And what we have in ordinance 162, where are they,
We provide the meter to the resident for new construction. City will also provide a meter to the citizen if meter is found defective. Meters that are damaged or neglected, citizen will be,
We charge for
recharged to pay or have a, that's your handwriting?
it. They're pulling it out.
9107 creates an unnecessary bar for the city to meet. 9107 is the right of entry. The superintendent shall be permitted to enter the premises of any customer at any reasonable time to read, remove, or inspect a meter. Direct communication with the customer will be attempted. The customer will receive a notice from the council through regular mail. Customer will have 10 days to respond. Non-compliant to actions requested by the City Council of Union will result in water to the residents being shut off until the stated issue is resolved. And she's saying that it creates an unnecessary bar for the city to meet when working with citizens.
They're just wanting.
It can be a policy, not an ordinance. So I don't know why that's an unnecessary bar. And is it okay for it just to stay an ordinance? It hasn't been a problem, has it?
No, I don't think so.
It's been here,
The only problem we have is down here.
well, it's been, this was, the most recent one was in April of 14th, was the final reading on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. too much need for it.
I don't know why she thinks it's an unnecessary bar.
I think it lays it out pretty straightforward.
It doesn't say it could create a liability for the city. That would be what I'd be more concerned about.
So there, that looks to me like they're saying it's more of a policy than an ordinance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
but is that a bad thing to have it as an ordinance?
no.
Well, so is this underneath that, is that,
That's what they want it
What-
to go to.
That's what they wanted, that's their recommendation. I say we leave it. I mean,
I think it spells it out better than we're gonna do this.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have any consequences for ever fixing it if you put in what they say.
yeah.
There's no consequence for, you know, letting your meter go unchecked.
I'm just gonna leave it as is. Okay. 21, please send the multi-year rate chart to the city uses. What is that?
Yeah, and I don't know.
That's probably for how many thousand gallons of water.
I was
Charge or
getting, I was
something.
getting pretty tired of going through there about now.
Isn't that what that means?
9202.
Yeah, 9202. And that is the rates for service, and it's 1,000 gallons first. And I don't know. What we do need to probably think about in there is wherever that 10,000 gallon thing came from that we got an issue with right now. If that's what that is, it probably shouldn't be in here,
Oh, okay,
you know.
so,
I don't know where that number came from.
I think they're just want, yeah, but that's not what it is. That's-
No, I know that's not what they're talking about here, but
they
It
wanna
needs to
put
be
in a
added in there.
while we're
multi-year
in
chart,
this
right?
water thing, they're just wanting to know the
I don't think
projected.
you wanna put in a multi-year chart, because you're gonna have them updated
No.
every 2 years.
yeah,
It needs to just be stated that it will be looked at, a minimum of 2% increase. Because that's what they say, is they say.
And that's
it's
kind of
confusing.
what we
That's
got
what we
there. Yeah, rates for
Yeah.
metered water or base rate shall be adjusted 2% annually at the beginning of each fiscal year.
Well, they're wanting us to take the 2% out and just say that there will be an automatic increase.
Could be more, could be less.
More or less. Probably just need to read a minimum of 2% increase, but could be more. I don't see what's so confusing about that.
Well, it doesn't say,
A multi-year
Minimum
chart
year.
means you're just gonna send it back out to them in 2 years and have them put another 2-year multi-chart in and put a 2-year note.
mm,
I just put on here minimum of 2%, could be more. Right?
Minimum 2% increase, could be more depending on circumstances, financial situation.
but I think it's minimum,
Okay.
then we're covered at that.
Any revisions to the city developed chapter? Chapter 100.
Chapter 100. Yeah, and I don't know what that is. Chapter 100 in here is the sump pump and groundwater standards. So I don't know that there's any changes to that from number 23. Any revisions to the city, do we have?
We revised that a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it's, because it's in there, you know, don't put it in their city sewer, it's already in here.
I think it's even got a fine for not letting you in to inspect it.
It's got, inspection clause. So I don't think there's any changes to chapter 100. And then chapter 105. I think this is, I didn't really know. One oh five and 105-2. Is solid waste general provisions. And 102 is collection of solid waste within the city, and all of ours is being done by a collection company, so I don't know that. But this is one that goes, you want to pull this one out, you want to put the one in, and I don't know if I really got into that one so much. It was just that you gotta go each one, like 105, 02, 1, okay, is that one good to stay? Boom, okay, 102, 5, number 2. 105.14. Oh, does the city allow burning of yard waste? I think we do.
That's
Yeah.
leaves and,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sticks,
yeah.
and that's 105.07.
What's 105.14, can we omit this section?
And 14 is, well, let me get to 7 again first.
Oh,
It's the separation of yard waste required. All yard waste shall be separated by the owner or occupant from solid waste, which we have that. We don't have, yard clippings and stuff can't go in our garbage.
yeah,
And shall be composted or burned on the premises. So we do allow yard waste to be burnt for number 25. Number 26 is 14.
no,
The public collection system, and that is the garbage truck guy, I think. It's the public collection system. The city hereby establishes a public collection transportation system shall be administered and provided by law and ordinance. The collection transportation system established herein covers collection of covered solid waste from all residential, commercial, and industry and other properties within the city and its transport. And the way I read that, that's if the city has their own garbage people, right? And we don't, so I would say yes, that could be omitted,
okay.
because we have a contractor to do that. And then 15, the city is committed to encouraging waste reduction wherever possible, and the city shall endeavor to administer this chapter in a way that protects the environment and public, and provides the most practical and beneficial use of materials and energy values of solid waste, implementing whatever possible goals set in the Iowa volume of reduction at the source, recycling, and blah, blah. Prohibited storage, no person shall place any solid waste in any street or alley, road, public, or upon private property within the city except in proper containers for collection. Again, all of ours is done by a contractor. So we do have the extra garbage bag tags and
Say it can be removed.
you just can't set it. I don't know, that's.
Well, let's do it saying that we want you to participate in it.
You wanna participate?
No, that's all it's saying, is they want you to participate in waste reduction.
Yeah,
Doesn't really need to be an ordinance, it could be.
the policy. So as far as I'm concerned, 15 can be deleted. And then,
Maybe delete this section. It appears the city does not use zones.
right, and we don't.
So yes.
So 16 and 17 is the city provided services. The city will establish solid waste collecting zones for commercial and residential, and we don't do that, so 16.
What's,
I think the garbage guy does, he comes in and does businesses one day and but that's his,
His-
that
yeah.
has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it's, the only zoning is,
You
you've
can track
got
some.
commercial zoning and residential
Yeah, but
zoning.
nothing
but
for,
garbage.
nothing for waste
No.
disposal, though.
No garbage.
Because we
No.
don't do the garbage anyway. So 16
Where are we at?
16 and 17.
you got
and
16, 17,
17,
18, and 19, you just as well.
17 is collection. 18 is, we can thin that out quite a bit. Savings clause is 105.18. In the event that the court of competent jurisdiction determines that any provision of these chapters pertaining to solid waste control, including any of the service options included therein, are unlawful or unauthorized by law, such provisions shall be nonetheless survive, and the city shall select service options from the remaining options. If any court of competent jurisdiction shall rule that the application of any provision herein is invalid to a particular person or property, such judgment shall not affect the application of said provision or any other person or property not specifically included in the judgment.
Did we understand that?
I
That's why,
did.
that's why we should get rid of
Delete
it.
it, that's what I was adding.
And then enforcement is 19. The regulations contained herein govern violations, threaten violations, or provide mechanisms for the city to use in attaining compliance with the chapters pertaining to solid waste control. And that shall be the duty of the city attorney to commence such action. So I think anything that has to do with the garbage guy goes to the garbage
Yeah.
guy, whether, I mean, we contract them to,
Yeah, they're contracted to take care of it.
Does that mean if somebody doesn't have the garbage picked up and just lets it lay there? Then can we do
Which a lot
something?
of people do.
Then can we do something about it? Is that what that means?
I don't know. Any person, firm, or corporation who violates any of the provisions of such chapters, or who fails, neglects, or refuses to comply with the provisions, or who knowingly makes any false statement, any document required to be submitted under provisions hereof, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. Each day that a violation occurs will constitute a separate offense.
You know, we've even sent out abatements for garbage, so it's, I mean,
So way back at the beginning, do we have, I mean, we have separation of yard waste required, littering prohibited, open dumping prohibited. Those are sections that we're not gonna get rid of. So those will still be in there.
You know, open.
So anybody in violation with that
Yeah.
would fall under 105.19. You could leave that one in there just to cover those.
Well, those have their own penalty tied with the open dumping and everything.
Well, then we don't need it.
I don't see why it needs to be there.
okay. Rates are to be established by ordinance. What are the current rates? 106?
Yeah, and I don't know what those are. Collection fees, it says,
That's to be,
the collection and disposal of solid waste is provided by this chapter are declared to be beneficial to the property served or eligible to be served. It shall be levied and collected fees, therefore in accordance with the following. And it does say the fees for collection, a monthly fee for solid waste collection and disposal fee. Such fee shall be established. This collection fee will include weekly pickup for 2 30-gallon bags not to exceed 40 pounds, each additional bag. Well, I guess it doesn't say what a garbage fee is.
It's been the same for,
Is it on the water bill? What are
Yeah.
garbage? I mean, what, does it say on it?
yes, it says garbage.
Yeah, there's a
It says
landfill.
Yep, WRRC,
And
that's a
that's the-
landfill. Mhm.
That's 12 something. 12 and
Rates are
7.
to be established by ordinance, and what are the current rates?
well, I would say the rates are established by,
Because, yeah, if
They
if
establish the rates, we
landfill
don't.
and stuff,
Yeah,
if
but
those
we don't.
rates go up to where we would have to increase,
Yeah.
then we do
We
it,
do
they
an
cover
ordinance
it.
every
but-
year to increase the rate.
yeah,
We
Yeah,
I
don't
don't
right.
have,
look at the current rates, I don't look at that part of my bill.
Most people don't.
it needs to be paid.
That's all right, most
So-
people don't.
So,
that might be something that we need to put in there, make a note to.
12 and like 725 or something, or 525. Nothing.
Not very much.
So you do it at the start of each year and Never look at it again.
But it sounds like we need to put it in here somewhere.
okay.
And then 10611, and I didn't know what a tipping fee was, so. The city shall pay the tipping fee at the landfill in Hardin County for all residential waste generated within its boundaries that is deposited at the landfill by the city contracted commercial haulers operated within city boundaries. So
I would assume that's the $12 contract, Lou.
is that what we?
Yeah, but do we need to have it in
I
there?
never noticed we ever paid a tipping fee before.
Well, I don't know why they're calling it a tipping fee.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Sometimes they call that stuff.
It's a landfill, that's what it says on our bill.
Mhm. But back then, maybe they called it something different.
Yeah.
I would say you could omit it.
Omit it? Okay. Does the city want to add one of these sections from the sample? City regulations is one location in the code to avoid creating conflicts. Weed heights are stated in this section. Which chapter does the city want them listed? We can add a cross-reference another chapter.
135. 09.
Okay, was that, did 33 go with 32? No, oops, sorry.
Well, one of it's excavations is 13509. And I think it's actually, isn't it in the law, you have to contact the one call if you're gonna do any,
Well, this is talking about getting a permit to dig in it.
no person shall dig, excavate, or in any manner disturb any street, parking, or alley unless such person first obtains a permit. And then it goes into the barricades, fencing, lighting, restoration, and then should any excavation in any street or alley be discontinued or left open and unfinished for a period of 24 hours after the approved completion date, the city has the right to furnish or correct the excavation and charge the expenses to the property owner. And I don't know what the suggestions are, but that excavation thing, looks like it's pretty well written to me as far as, except for we don't do permits that I know of.
Like sample E, alternate 2.
So,
I mean, they're putting in insurance requirements, which most people are gonna hire a contractor to do it anyway.
Yeah, but I think they're more or less talking about if the landowner is probably gonna take it upon himself to dig up his own water line.
I know, but if you go with their example, they've got bond requirements, insurance requirements.
mhm.
Somebody's gonna have to, I mean,
You wanna read it and see if it can just stay like it is?
Inspect-
I don't see it how it's,
They got 2 pages.
outside of having to draw the
They got
city
2
for
pages of
planning,
it.
that probably ain't a bad idea anyway, to come down and fill out a, even if we don't charge for it, at least we know.
Yeah, they got 2 pages.
yeah, I mean, they're just saying that,
You dig it up, you're responsible to cover it up.
yeah, and I mean, all they're doing is they're putting all the legal jargon in for, you know, they want you to have a bond, minimum of 100, minimum of 1,000.
The good thing about what they're saying is it keeps, it keeps a licensed contractor usually in the mix to, because those are the guys that are licensed and bonded and insured and,
Know what they're doing.
yeah.
I thought that was a requirement anyway.
Oh, I don't, you mean for the city? I
If
think if
somebody
it's on
was
your
going
pro-
to have something done, that I thought it had to be by a licensed and bonded
I
contractor.
think a property owner can do his own, anything, yeah.
I suppose it depends on what it is.
Yeah, plumbing, electric, whatever, if you're,
This is about the street or alley or parking or anything.
right,
This
say if
isn't your
you're
own
digging up,
property.
I
Yeah,
think if
yeah.
it's, you're digging up a water line that you're responsible for, that goes out into the street, I suppose you could do that, but if it don't get covered up and you don't do it right, then the city will do it and charge the property owner for it. That's the way I read it. But there's legal, we can get away from that by requiring a bonded contractor too, or proof insurance and proof of a bond and.
And this just, for the way they've got it wrote, it protects the city if some contractor comes in and screws up.
So it might be good to go with one of them.
Well, you're gonna go with their sample E and then alternate 2, which is issued issue a permit, but no fee.
Sample what?
E
E? An alternate?
to,
Okay. 33.
Huh.
Stating regulations in one location in the code to avoid creating conflicts. Weed heights are stated. Which chapter does the city want them listed? We can add a cross-reference in the other chapter.
Yeah, and I didn't really address that. It looks almost like you could pick one and say, cross-reference them to the other one. 5204. And 147. I think I got 147. Oh, you know what, I couldn't find 147.
No.
We go from 145 to 150. But I don't know where
Where she found it at then, huh?
where she found 147. I couldn't
there
find
ain't a
it.
book around that's up to date or the same.
Well, Colleen said this is the most up-to-date one she's got.
Well, they probably got an old one. They probably took out 147 at some point.
Probably.
Chapter 145, and then it goes to chapter 150, and then 155, 156, and then
What chapter 5204 read? Or
5204 is weeds and grass.
See?
Oh, I remember it well. 5204 is the developed residential area not to exceed 6 inches, undeveloped 8 inches, business and industrial areas not to exceed 6, agricultural areas not to exceed 15. And not knowing where 14707 is it in that one?
Nope.
We can just reference it from here,
I
but
would just tell them 14707 reference to 5204.
Okay. Reference.
or should that be vice versa? Because you ain't gonna find it in 14707.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah, but if they do find it, they gotta go back to 5204. Those books won't matter. Those books we got now won't matter after this is done. You just take them out and throw them away.
So she's gonna make a 14707 maybe?
Well, I'm wondering if they have it in an old book. I can't tell you the last time Summer and Corey went through these.
Oh.
Not totally through them.
I'll bet they've got an old book, an old book.
If we get this done and get new books, we should take every one of these old ones and just get rid of them so that they're not referenced anymore. So that way everything, okay, now we got a new deal, but that's what it is, like it's always been.
6 inches for the grass, yeah.
And this is, again, they're looking for this ordinance 150 and 151, and I couldn't find 150 at all.
Well, no, it was, should say, well, does it come from the county? It says it comes from the county, so is that ordinance in the county books that we just don't have?
Yeah, I don't know. So the answer to number 33 is on 14707, reference 5204.
Right.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And then ordinance 150 and 151.
Maintenance.
I couldn't find 150, but I have 151. And it's the Uniform Code for Abatement of Dangerous Buildings. The ordinance 150, they say it's 147.12. And we didn't have a 147 either, did we? So that stuff might be somewhere. We have a chapter 150, which is the number size of the buildings. Ordinance 151.
I think we need to ask him to send us copies of 150. Because everything now talks about 150, 155.
We gotta,
It all has to do with abatements, though.
we
can
have,
see what they have wrote.
we have an ordinance 154. We
We
have a
don't have
chapter.
150?
We have a, no, that I can find.
That's what I'm saying, we need to email them and ask them for what they have for copies for 150, 151, 155.7, so that we can see what's actually in there, since it's not in that book.
I wonder if they were taken out and sent to them, oh, let's take them out of this book.
I mean, you can't make a decision on something we can't read.
Right.
And can't find.
And then that's the end of it when we get to 150, that's all I got.
I would just have Colleen email them, ask them for 1/5 chapter, ordinance 150.
You write that down?
151.
Yep, okay. What about a 14707?
Yeah, we need all those.
I don't have a 147.
This way we can actually see what they read. We can't change it if we don't know what it actually reads.
We go from 145 to 150 in our table of contents.
Ordinance 150 and
151,
151 I have
oh,
the ordinance for.
14707, we need that one.
But there's no chapter, ordinance 151 pertains to chapter 148, which we don't have. So,
Did you write that? We don't
I'll
have
just come in
these.
and tell Colleen what we want to hear, and how to email these guys.
Okay,
if I could scratch that off of my list.
Okay.
All right.
so on to the next.
so that's all, I think
We
that's all
don't have
it is.
any of the other stuff.
That's what I'm saying,
So
you
we're
can't make
done.
any
That's
decisions
the
on.
end of it, I think.
We're done.
this-
We go to trees next.
No, those are all, that's all the samples.
That's all their samples.
This is all
That's
their
examples and samples
Yeah.
and suggestions. That is it for her question.
You done good, Tom.
Well,
Yeah,
I was getting a little blurry-eyed by the time I got it, because
That's a lot of reading.
there's a lot of words that, I went to Union Whitman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Well, you know, then what I found over the years too,
I can leave this here.
the way a person reads certain things, everybody can interpret it
You know what,
different.
let's just leave it
Yes.
there.
No,
You know.
is that right?
good idea.
Right.
I'll leave that to Dawn if you're gonna come in with her. That's
No.
the book she gave me.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We're not doing anything on the codification then, right? So we don't have
We
to-
need to get that information so we can finish it at the next meeting.
We're not gonna do any acting on the codification right now, unless we need to agree that the changes that we have, we agree that, and I don't even know if that's necessary until we get all done.
Make a motion to table codification until the next meeting, when we have the rest of the information.
I'll second that,
Okay, roll call, Tom Bass.
yes.
Alan Donaldson,
Yes?
Andrew Clevens is absent, Cindy Clevens,
Yes.
Cindy Wade.
Yes. I'm writing.
Are you making notes for Colleen or
I-
did somebody turn
I
on a
am.
tape recorder?
Ma'am, no, we don't got it.
Yeah, it's right in front of you. Tape recorder's right in front of
And I'll second Alan.
you. Somebody make a motion to adjourn, is anybody gonna second it?
I will.
Okay, thank goodness.
I thought we just did that. We just,
No, we did the, I tabled this until I get the receipt.
oh,
If she can make anything out of that, good luck.
Cindy, question?
no.
Nope,
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
okay, bye.
You have to sign
Dennis wants to